Good afternoon, fans, followers of China Rising Radio Sinoland around the world. This is Jeff Brown, Shenzhen, just south of the Tropic of Cancer. So glad you could join me today. It is a very interesting and happy. We can smile today. We have something to celebrate, and we can do some dreaming and hopeful thinking. Today's podcast article is entitled, Korean People Want Peace and Reunification. Uncle Sam Does Not. There's a photo. And by the way, DPRK stands for Democratic People's Republic of Korea. That's North Korea. ROK stands for Republic of Korea. That's South Korea. And Baba Beijing is my appellation for China's leadership. DPRK Chairman Kim Jong-un left, and ROK President Moon Jae-in holding hands in symbolic reunification while stepping back and forth over the USA's artificially enforced border along the 38th parallel. The world will be changed forever if the peninsula reunifies. And here's the body of the podcast. It is no understatement to say that Korea's détente this week is the greatest chance for peace so far in the 21st century. After living with a U.S.-contrived ceasefire for 65 years, the two halves of the artificially divided Korean people are finally promising to sign a full peace treaty by the end of this year and create steps towards reunification. This would never have happened if any Clinton, Bush, or Obama were in the White House. You can bitch all you want about U.S. President Donald Trump's unorthodox, chaotic foreign policy or lack thereof, but his rapprochement with Kim Jong-un, the DPRK's chairman, was key. South Korean President Moon Jae-in also deserves credit for his willingness to work with DPRK and Kim, remembering that there are citizens rotting in ROK prisons for publicly saying something good about the North, a crime in the South's repressive Western-style fascist society. But the real kudos go to DPRK's leader, Kim Jong-un. He held all the cards. He was in control of the situation the whole time. He had the world holding its breath about the North's nuclear arsenal and could have kept up the suspense and the heat on the U.S. and Japan for as long as he wanted. But he didn't. He masterfully played the peace card and might now win the Nobel Prize for his vision. I am convinced that Baba Beijing has been and will continue to play a huge behind-the-scenes role. In fact, per the ceasefire, 5 parties should have to sign any peace treaty: the two Koreas, China, the United States, and the United Nations. The Western media were trying to downplay the summit, hopefully predicting that not much would transpire. They were thankfully wrong. The final communiqué is bold, daring, and visionary. If allowed to come to fruition, it will change the world forever. I say allowed because there are many dark forces that are going to try to destroy Korea's reunification in its womb. For the last 65 years, the U.S. has been working tirelessly to keep the peninsula on a war footing. It's not about Korea. It's all about threatening and encircling communist socialist China, the former USSR, and now anti-imperial Russia. Both countries have common borders with DPRK, and both were instrumental in soundly defeating Uncle Sam's, quote, United Nations forces in the Korean War 1950 to 1953. The U.S. even blatantly used illegal germ warfare and carpet-bombed 3 million North Koreans to their early graves, and still resoundingly lost to the communist DPRK China-USSR alliance. I fear a Western false flag will be pulled off to scuttle the whole thing. ROK President Moon had better have a loyal security team, watch his back, and triple check every mode of transport he uses. They can't get to Kim, so the West will kill Moon in a heartbeat if they can get to him, then blame it on Kim and the DPRK. See, we told you so. It was all just a sick commie ruse to fool the world. Back to the big business of war. Korea represents many billions of dollars in military sales and contracts for Wall Street. As well, there are many fascists embedded in ROK's military and government, as well as in Japan's. The two countries' militaries also reap billions of dollars in weapons and service contracts from a divided and occupied peninsula and an occupied Japan. Don't forget that the ROK military authority is run by the U.S.'s generals, not Koreans. One of the biggest justifications for keeping 90,000 U.S. troops in Japan is the menace of North Korea. Reunify the peninsula and keeping Japan militarily occupied becomes more tenuous, even when we know it's all about China and Russia. Thousands of careers at the Pentagon, Department of State, NATO, in Brussels, London, Paris, Frankfurt, Tokyo, in Cold War anti-communist think tanks, and university professorships are all legitimized by a demonized Kim and DPRK. Capitalism's biggest enemy is peace. Thus, armies of bureaucratic and business warmongers in the West and Asia will now go into overdrive to destroy the Korean people's dream of reunification. We now have the West post-war communist domino theory updated to the 21st century's anti-imperial peace domino theory. If one country says no more war, then another one will do the same thing, and then another, etc. The peace domino theory is capitalism's worst nightmare. For now, we can exhale, smile, and dream. The next year is going to be very interesting indeed. And then there's an image. Capitalism's worst nightmare. Peace breaking out all over Asia and then the rest of the world. Come on, we have to celebrate with some music. What else but John Lennon's Give Peace a Chance? No wonder the CIA assassinated him. Or if you cannot access YouTube, here it is from my record collection. All right, Jeff J. Brown, thank you for coming. Please share China Rising Radio Sinoland routinely in your social media, with your friends, family, at your place of worship, at work. There's a lot of big lie propaganda about China, Asia, and empire that needs to be countered. And China Rising Radio Sinoland is one of those venues that does that. Thank you very much. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising, signing out. Bye-bye.